I'd like to share with you a story about the two fishermen sitting alongside a stream. And the first fisherman looks out into the water, sees a struggling baby floating in the water. And the fisherman dives out, swims, grabs a baby, brings the baby safely to shore. As the fisherman returns to the shore, he turns around to look at where he has been and the deed he has done. And he sees two more drowning babies in the water. And he turns to the second fisherman and he says, "Will you help me dive in and save these two babies?" The second fisherman begins to immediately sprint up the side of the stream. And the first fisherman, in shock, says, "Where are you going? Aren't you going to stay here and help me rescue these two additional drowning babies?" And the second fisherman, without breaking stride, says, "You dive in and try to rescue these two additional babies. I'm going up the stream to stop the person that's throwing them in." I share that story with you because we as a nation, we as a community, we as concerned Americans must be that second fisherman. We must be willing to go upstream against the squandered resources, against the waste of human talent in our society. There are three things we need to do to be that second fisherman. Three things we need to do to go upstream and deal with the causes of squandered resources in our school to prison pipeline. First thing we need to do, and that's a very simple thing, but one that may be the most difficult step, and that is to recognize that we still have a problem. We need to recognize that there are widespread, alarmingly widespread disparities, racial disparities in our country across the socioeconomic index, whether it be in terms of education and graduation rates, whether it be in terms of the employment arena, unemployment being a 2-to-1 disparity between racial minorities and whites, or whether it be the criminal justice system and the alarmingly wide incarceration rates within the minority community. In some states, you're talking 50% of those incarcerated are minorities, primarily black and Latinos. In other states, it rises as high as the 80 or 90 percentile. And so we need to be very concerned about these disparities. Once we recognize there's a problem, the law needs to address opportunities for those who have already been incarcerated but have served their debt to society and are getting out of prison and returning to the communities that they left. These individuals we need to recognize that these individuals have paid their debt to society, and some of them have in fact changed, recognized that they would like to take a different path. And so we need to look at them in terms of their status currently, not in terms of who they were, but in terms of who they are. And so we need to change some of our laws and policies to recognize that some of these individuals have changed, and so that they should no longer be discriminated against because of their incarceration in terms of education opportunities, whether it be job training or job education programs, housing opportunities, whether it be subsidized public housing, political opportunities in terms of participating in our American democracy. We need to encourage that participation. We need to democratize these individuals rather than discourage them and prohibit them from voting or participating in the process. And fourth, and perhaps finally, most significantly, we need to stop discriminating against these individuals in terms of employment opportunities. They need to have a way to be able to support themselves and their families if they are committed to doing that. And then the third aspect is to deal with opportunities for individuals who are at risk of going into the criminal justice system, are at risk of being incarcerated. We need to create job and education opportunities for these individuals, to give them a choice, to give them an option of choosing education and employment, lawful education and employment, rather than criminal activities and the risk of incarceration. We need to give them a real choice. We can do that through legislation such as an American Jobs Act, where we would target areas of high unemployment, super high unemployment, where maybe it's 30%, 30% unemployment, as opposed to the 5 to 8% that exists in many of our communities today. Target these areas of super high unemployment, not only for job education and training programs, but also for job creation programs, so that when these individuals successfully complete an education or training program, that they would have a likelihood of being employed in their community, a likelihood of being able to take care economically of themselves and the families that they are responsible for. In this way, we can make a huge difference in not only reducing the alarmingly wide disparities that exist between racial minorities and whites in the criminal justice system, but we can also provide hope for these individuals that their lives are not over, that they will not go back into the criminal justice system, that they will not be reincarcerated, that they will not commit crimes, that they will become responsible citizens in our American democracy. These individuals need hope, and they also need the reality that it can and will be done. We as a society that claim to embrace the notion of equal opportunity for all, we need to give them that hope. We owe them more than simply what we are doing now. And I think if we do that, we can all, I think, make sure that we have in fact done everything we could do to deal with this alarmingly wide disparity that is wasting, that is squandering human resources in our society today.